Hi everyone, I'm Kostas. So I'll be talking today about the space technology tree project that Romain and me worked on for Foresight. So this is Romain, he couldn't make it today, and this is me, and we are working on this project. So what is a tech tree? Some of you know it already. That's from the Civilization video game series. It's used a lot in video games. Essentially, it's connecting one technology to the other in a successive manner. And the idea is to have this in the real world for space technologies. And this is the way we do it. We have an organized way to do it. So first of all, we have a taxonomy of space technologies, which actually we were discussing this earlier today. It gives me a lot of pleasure having things really organized and pigeonholed. And space agencies and other actors in the space domain do this for technology they're developing. So there's NASA documentation by the European Space Agency that actually does this thing exactly. So there's technology domain, for example, propulsion, and there's subdomains and then technology groups. So you can have a taxonomy of space technologies. There's also a lot of information on mission roadmaps, which is the next component of a tech tree. So it's essentially what you can do in space, applications and missions and things that you want to do in space. And it's again connected in a successive manner. So you go from one to the other, more and more advanced. Another entity is actually challenges that you have, for developing some of these technologies or some of these missions, and also entities that work on these technologies or are interested in, their stakeholders in some of these applications. So this is combining everything into a tech tree. So this kind of grayish, round-edged box are technologies. The white boxes are applications. And this is an example for the in situ astrobiology roadmap in the solar system. So, for example, you have the moons Europa or Enceladus in the outer solar system, which are interesting goals for interesting targets for in situ astrobiology. And there's mission that you can go, for example, you can have a flyby through the water plumes that they have over there. That's one mission, and you have advanced, more and more advanced missions that do more and more ambitious things, all the way, to having deploying a submarine there. And for example, I give here what type of technologies are needed for some of these applications. So sample handling when you fly through the plumes, you have to catch samples, or autonomous operations of really sci-fi type submarines in the oceans there, and so on and so forth. So the way we actually do this, me and Romain, is we start, of course, with a literature review. We collect information. We have a first draft of the tree, and then we contact experts. Some of you are here. Thank you very much. Actually, Martin was the first we spoke together. Yeah. Yep. Yes, and then of course we revise. We constantly revise, and we constantly, revisit the tree. Yes, and actually I can do so the status of the tree. Can you help me with the? Sorry, I don't have a mic.
You're trying to find it on our website? Or?
Yes, yeah, we can do that. Actually, it's here.
We have these trees also for other areas. So there's one for molecular machines, one for neurotech, one for intelligent corporation, longevity, and this one is the space tree. Still a little bit hard to navigate, but we're working on a better interface, I guess. So I think you can probably zoom out if you want. Maybe take a little bit of time to do so. It has a lot of data, so it's sometimes a little slow to load. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, it's a bit zoomed out, but that's a general idea behind it. You have boxes that connect to other boxes, essentially. It's the same categorization. Yeah,
I'll send out a link later for you guys if you want to play with it, and if you want to contribute to it, it would be really wonderful. I think you probably have a ton of questions.
Usually it's very smooth, so it's really, yeah. So it's constantly being revised. We're constantly, trying to, at least until the beginning of the year when it was more, we were more active with the tree. Yeah, so I'd be happy to take your questions or comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go for it.
I have a question about how you're planning to get that into the hands of people who are either in policy or technology. For example, I know AC Charanya, the chief technologist at NASA, is interested in this kind of road mapping. Have you tried reaching out to people like that?
I think that's more a question for Alison, actually.
Yeah, we're currently also revamping the trees. There's another way in which you can have part of them be AI auto-generated through a ChatGPT-4 integration. And so the idea would be that our tech tree leads, which are usually still building the trees and looking at all of the kind of like data by literally doing Google and web searches. You can already ask ChatGPT-4 many of the questions, and it's an integrated tool in the tree, and then can review this. And I think once we have that version, then we want to really start reaching out to people, because there's a lot of individual fields involved. But yeah, feel free to check it out. It's on our website under the tech tree section, and maybe you're even interested in doing an evening breakout or something on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I love the civilization tree. But one thing I like about civilization tree, and I wonder if you're going to go into industry, is the research costs. Like, do you do estimation on this tree in terms of like, hey, how long is this going to take, and like, so we can figure that out too. That would be really cool.
That's a great question, and actually it's a big thing even when you, about metrics that you have for research costs, that's also under discussion. So is a technology readiness level, that metric, is it adequate? There's other metrics that have been developed, which are maybe a better description of technology costs, but are more complex to kind of derive. So it's always, simplicity versus being more descriptive, but having a metric that's more difficult to develop. So it would be actually, it would really make the thing even more, it would even more work to put, a cost to every edge, which would be something like, TRL, how do you, cost from going to TRL, something to something else. So it's possible, but it's quite a bit more work. Yeah.
Hey, so I saw you mention of exploration of Enceladus, which is something that has intrigued me for a while. From a company called Skyline, we make ultra low-cost CubeSat buses, kind of inspired by commercializing PhoneSat, which we feel was never really made into something that enables third-party exploration, more accessible. Any idea can be just easily made. And so one thing we've been curious about is the potential for much smaller and lower cost missions to these outer planets. And the sun diving thing is something I heard about recently, but I guess the thermals have not been worked out yet. But one thing that we could do is that you mentioned the tech tree mentioned a Discovery class mission for plume sampling. We think it could be done even faster and cheaper, namely with perhaps a pair of 250 kilogram class microsats. It's something like a Neutron or even a Falcon could actually put on a direct pathway to Jupiter and then fly by Jupiter to Saturn. You could beat Dragonfly to Saturn if you did this. You could launch in 8 years, get there in 2.5. No need for new technologies with entirely new ones, and also developing, solar panels that's fold better, because we are worried that I don't know if you have thoughts about the increased adoption of RTGs, but we want to make sure it's whichever way it goes that this becomes possible. So yeah, I'm just curious about how you're seeking partners or people to think about these ideas with, and how you think these potential trees of technologies might be going.
So actually, this is a great example of input that we would get from an expert. That we would contact someone like yourself, and we would get input like input that you discussed right now, and this would be codified into the tree. So does that answer your question, or?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I really welcome you.
Sorry.
I think we have to leave it at that. But I really want to welcome you all to check out the tree later if you have time. They're on our website, pretty easily accessible. Thank you very much, Kostas. This was wonderful. Oh, thanks for reminding me. Kostas, what's your challenge? What do you want people to work on and to solve?
Yes, so concerning the tree, I would like you to do my homework for me and think of your fields in terms of this abstraction that I presented. So what applications, are in your field and what technologies are needed to, to actually implement them.
Okay, I did my best. You can correct me if I didn't capture it correctly. All right, wonderful.